Hello everyone, welcome to Code and Box Automation Lab. This is Sharful. This session it's about version control system. In a programming language, when multiple people they worked in a development project, that time all the peoples they may live in different places. So how they contribute to a common project? So they do their own coding and they push their coding and store their code in a central place. That's called, so the place is to store their code in a sequential way, very systematic way. That system, it's called version control system. This is very simple definition. And Git or GitHub, it's one of the version control system, like VSN, and there is a Bajar, there's so many other tools. So this is a tool, okay? It's to control your version, to control or to store your project's code. So let's go see what is Git and GitHub. So what is Git? Git is a distributed open source version control system for tracking changes in source code during software development. It is designed for coordinating work among programmers, but it can be used to track changes in any set of files. Its goals include speed, data integrity, and support for distributed. So Git is a distributed version control system which is open source. Okay, open source. It has a free version as well as it has a paid version, but it's an open source for tracking, changing our source code for a project. When multiple people, as I said, they involve to develop a project, so what's their contribute? It's track their contributor, who's doing what, who's changing any code, everything it's tracked. So, as well as it's stored in a central place. So that's the idea. It's Git. Okay, so let's see then what is GitHub. So GitHub is a web-based hosting service for version control using Git. It offers all of the distributed version control and source code management functionality of Git. So GitHub provides both public and private repository systems or services. So it has two versions. As I said, it's one is public is free, private is it's a paid version. Public is to use Git services, first we need to register with the GitHub. So GitHub, we understand it's a web-based. It's like a web server where it store all the data. Then we understand a little bit ago about the Git. Like Git is a concept of the version control system. So then what is the difference between Git and GitHub? So we understand about the GitHub that we have to open, here is a URL github.com, and we have to open an account up there, and that's a GitHub where we'll store all of our code related to our project that's contribute from different people. But then what is Git? That's a little bit confusing. Let's see what is the Git and GitHub. A simple difference. Git is local repository and GitHub is central repository. It means when an individual contribute to a project, first they do code in their local machine, and after that their code is when it's done, they feel everything's okay, they push the code and it's stored in somewhere central place where everybody else also push their code in a central place, and it's stored in a very systematic way, very manageable way. So when an individual person write their code in a local machine, that time they have to create a local repository. So creating a local repository, it's called Git. On the other hand, when they push the code to store in a central place or central repository, that's called GitHub. So our local repository in our local machine will be Git, and in the central repository it means like the web-based hosting service, there will be URL there will be account and a specific URL for a specific project, and according to that URL will push our code to store our code in centrally. So that's called GitHub. Okay, so next is how to install the Git. So to install a Git, we have to search. You can search just a Git download or download Git, or you can go to, this is the direct sites, gitscm.com download. Then you can download it, and download, there will be exe file for Windows. So we'll download that exe file and start to install. You will see there is some lot of command line, and finish it. During the installation, make sure if there is a option that comes like the installation preference, then I would say select this use git bash only, so as it will not modify our system. It's the path variable, so it's better to use a git bash. So in a Git, one installation will done, you will see the Git will have a two version. One is called git bash, another one is called GUI version, or git GUI. So git bash is like a git command, you can do everything in git command, and then GUI it's like a GUI graphical user interface. Okay, so and then to check your setting of Git, just you can run in your git bash, open your git bash, and you can type git config dash space dash list. It will show successfully installation was completed in your machine. So how to do this? We can see. So we can go just to Google and say git download, and then you can see the first site is git scm.com. Go there, and then here you can see it has a different version as per the operating system. So you can say Windows, click on Windows, and you can see it started to download .exe file. So I'm not going to complete the, or let it download, it's fine, because I already downloaded and installed into my machine. So there's a one file, it's saying the name. So after you complete the download, let me find my one. After you complete the download, you will find a Git. It should be download here. You can see there will be the Git, there will be file git exe file like this. Git maybe it's a different version now when you're watching this video. So my version was 2.25. Anyway, so double click on this, and then click on yes. Okay, so let's go to this one, and then start to install. Okay, so as I said, like, it's a very simple process. Just go and finish the installation. You don't have to do anything else. Okay, so I'm not going to install it. Please install it, and if there is option comes, please select git bash. Okay, as I showed in here, select use the git bash only. Okay, that option. So after the Git installation done, okay, you can find your Git, you can open it, you can see on your start button from your Windows machine, and there is a search option at the beside the search box. Just type over here Git, then you will see there is a Git bash app. It's already there, and your Git exe file as well as the open, so you can easily open it. You can see if you click on open, it will open on your machine, something like this, the window will come up. It's like a command prompt, but it's a little bit different, but it's exactly the similar. It's a command prompt, so we can do all the command over here. All the activities we can do through this window. This is a Git window, Git bash window. Okay, let's close it. So next, it's creating a Git local. So first we have to create our local repository, because assume that it's you are a developer or you are automation engineer, so you are going to work first on your local machine. Okay, either you are an existing employee or you're a new employee, you will either you're going to create a framework from scratch. After you're done some code, you need to push your code to the the GitHub. So first you have to create your local repository. So example, you already created some framework on your machine, you did the code. Now it's time to push your code to the central repository. So before you push your code to the central, first you have to create your local repository. So how we can create your local repository? So here is the thing. Git repository is nothing but just a collection of files and their history. It means it will take a snapshot. It will take a snapshot of all the files related to our project, like all the files or whatever the files you want to store in your central repository. So it will take the snapshot from your local repository, and then it will push as far you want. Okay, so there is a two-way, it's a Git repository can be created. Number one, create Git repository in an existing project. So assume that you have already existing project in your local machine, as I said, then you need to store it in a central repository like on GitHub. That time you can create a local repository for this specific existing project, or create or maybe you join to a company, and the company, they have already the project and they have their code in their GitHub, right? So that time you need to first create a clone the entire Git repository from your remote server. The GitHub is also called remote repository or remote server. So you get a clone the whole project from remote server or from GitHub in your local repository, so that you have the updated the code, all the existing project code, and moving forward from there you can start to contribute in the project. So first we'll see how we can create a Git repository in an existing project. So assume that in your machine you have an existing project and you need to push this code to the central repository or remote server. So first we'll see how we can create a Git repository. Okay, let's open. I'm opening our my Eclipse. I have some existing project over here. So let's see one of the project. I wanna be very simple project maybe. Okay, say Selenium 4. Okay, this is the project I'm going to. This project is about some so the upcoming Selenium 4 version, some features about it. Okay, so I will see where this project, I'll see the path. Okay, this is the path. I guess Selenium 4, here is my project. So this folder, here is my project, all the files related to my project. This is the root directory of my project. So what I can do, I can open my, so either I can open my Git, the command Git command prompt from here, or I can open from my Windows Start option. So anyways, you can first, we have to make sure where you have to tell where your project first. You have to put the your in your GitHub in a Git bash, you have to be in your project directory. So I'm gonna open, I can I can go for cd, then put the path of the the project. I can go that way, or I can just open over here into the project folder open the git bash here. You can see my git bash is here. So you can see when you open the git bash from the project, inside the project folder, you are already in the project. This is the path: Eclipse, workspace, then Selenium 4. This is the Selenium 4. Okay, so this is, I'm already in the project. You have to make sure you are in the project directory path. If you are started from your your username, then you have to go to the CD, then your the path, your username, then your path. Make sure you are in the right folder or right project folder. And after that, let's okay, let me copy here. Okay, I just did a little bit organized so that I can fit all the window in my this screenshot here. So you can see here is my PowerPoint document, all the commands over here. We'll see how it works, how we can create a local repository for a local machine, and we'll see that how we can connect with our central repository or remote repository, and how we can push the code up there. Okay, here is this is the command. It's all this command. I will share you a link where all the command, it's already there very nicely, so you don't have to memorize. All you have to just store or keep that URL in your bookmark, and you are good to go. You can find all the related command to do all the activities in terms of handling your Git and GitHub management. So here this is our the project. Okay, this is my Git bash. Okay, so first thing you can see how it works. Number one, it's first you have to tell Git who you are. You have to introduce yourself. Git doesn't know anything, so first you have to introduce yourselves. To do this, you have to write a command something like this. Say git config, and then space dash, then global user dot name. Okay, and then you give your name in a double quotation. So I have already account. I give a account name like Code Inbox, so I will give the same name. Not my real name, just I will use my Git account, GitHub account username, which is CODNBOX. Okay, good. And then I have to tell, so this is your username, then also you have to tell your global your email address too. Okay, so it's the same. You will say git config, then space double dash global user dot email, and the email would be space, and then your email would be something like that. I would say my email I put was codeinbox2014 at gmail.com. Okay, so this is the two email address. You have to provide your global username and password, just like global variable. So you can put whatever email address you want, like maybe it's the same email address you are going to use to open the account for the GitHub. You can use, so this is the same email address I have my account. So, or as well as you can put just your name. I put in my Code Inbox my name. It's just like as I said, I use on my to open my account. So if your account is just by your name, you can use this. It's fine. And after that, number two, I'm on the right now it's go to the folder or path you have your project. So I'm already in my project. You can see the path, right? This is my path, Eclipse Selenium 4. So I'm already here. Okay, or you can, if you the way I showed you can open that way, or you can just use the CD, then your project name, the folder directory like Selenium 4 my project, the final directory. You can put directory that like this way. Now create a new local empty repository. Okay, so first of all create a repository, local repository, which is going to be empty. So to do this, in our project, we have to type a simple command to the git initiate. It's INT. It's called the git init. Git in, it's called like git initiate, right? You take the initiate to create a local repository. Hit enter. You can see initialized empty git repository in, this is the path where it's already, you can see as soon as the command is done, there is a .git folder being opened. Okay, this is your empty git repository, local repository. It may not be shown in your system because this folder it's a hidden folder, so you have to make sure your hidden option it's open. You can unhide your hidden option from your view, then hidden folder option you can unhide, then you will see this is your .git folder is there, it shows. Okay, so that's the way you created your empty local repository in your project. Now next is for tracking any files we need to add. So this is empty, right? So Git is again it's a system that where you are going to track your code. Your code, it means it's a folders, different files. All these folders are files. Okay, it's treated as a it's a file, and it takes take the screenshot or a snapshot and put in your local repository. So to do this, so now it's right now it's empty. So to tracking any files or all the files, you need to add entire code or files to a staging level. It's called staging or index level. Okay, because you have to first add your whatever the files you want to track or you want to store in your central repository. Before you do this, you have to put your file, you have to add our file to this local repository. That's called staging or indexing. Okay, to do this, this is the command. The command is git add space and then star. If you put git add star, so it will it will add all the files, all the folders you have in this project. Okay, and if you want, and later on, the first time you need maybe all of the file, but later on maybe you don't need all of them. If you want to add any single file, you can do this, or git add, then you just put the file name. Okay, let's see. So right now I'm adding all the files to my local repository. Hit enter. You will see there was a lot of things will be done. Okay, the file will be, it's this original line, you can see ending in your working directory. Okay, so it's all pretty much done. So after you complete your staging, okay, you have to push your code to the central repository. You have to do commit. There is a commit. It's a level before you push your code to the central repository, because central repository only accept the code from the commit level. So if your file is not on the commit level, it's not gonna be acceptable by the GitHub or central repository, or you can say remote repository. Okay, so for the commit, to do the commit level, so let's see another thing. Here we initiated I will say we just did the git add, everything is done. Okay, so there is another comment I missed here, I didn't put it. It's called status. Oh, here's number 6. You can see status. Status is the comment, it's the command line that will show you the list of files you have changed. If you have, say you have 10 files in your project, right, or folders you have project, and one of the files, like one of the files in a code you have been changed, then if you use the git status, it will show you exactly the file was been modified. So if we use, right now we didn't change any file, anything, so still we can check our status. To check our status, we'll say git status, type git status. It will show us all the files. You can see it's saying, okay, on bash branch no commits yet, so we haven't commit any file, which is true. And here is all the files. Okay, the files changes need to be commit, if we want to push. So here is all the files. This is the all new files. You can see this logo, png, so those are the files all inside. So source file, target, folders, there's a lot of files inside here. You can see here's all the files are new files, and here it's saying untracked file. It means those are the green line. It means all the files been added to .git file in local repository. It means it's now tracked, but there is unfortunately there's a .class file, .project file, and .settings. Some reason was not able to add it. So it means that's why those are not tracked file. If you want to add those files in our local repository, because if you want to include those files in your project, in your final project, you have to add this. So here is we can see how we can add those, the missing files or any individual files you want to add to your local repository. There is the way you can do. Here is you will use git add and the file name. Say git add. Then what's the file name? It's the first one is .class path, right? You'll say .class path. Okay, and then again git add, and then the file next one is .project, right? So .project right? Next one is add. Git add. Then settings, right? Okay, let's see now status again. Git status. Now it's supposed to show all the files. You will see all the files are now tracked. It's the green files, right? You can see now it's added. This is the file, the missing file. 2 files, settings files are now everything's, all the files are here. You can see there's a POM file, or here is a POM file, right? All the files is here. It's all are now in tracked. It means all the files has been added to our local repository. Sounds good. So next I have to commit before like we move to our central goal is like we're going to push all the code, our whole project, to central repository. So before we push the central repository, it's only accept the commit level of the code. If the code is like on the commit level, it's committed, then it will able to accept. So we have to do our commit. So to do the commit, it is git commit. You have to use, this is the command line, git commit, and then space -m, then there is a message you can send up there. So this message will highlight it, will differentiate it that you added some new code, or this is the first time code, whatever it is. Okay, and then the next one would be, we have to, before we commit again, we have to link our local repository with our central repository, because central repository is nothing, it's just a server. Like there will be server address. We'll create our repository up there. So our local repository needs the knowledge or needs to connect with the central repository. Let's create an account in our GitHub or central repository or remote repository, and we'll move from the number 5. Okay, let's go here. So if we go, let's go we just downloaded, we'll say git okay, this is the site, right? github.com. You can say github.com. okay, GitHub. So now it's a GitHub. We downloaded a Git, which is central repository. Now it's a GitHub, right? Go to the github.com. Here, then you can see, you have to, if you are new, you have to sign up. Okay, you have to sign up because you have to open your account, new account. To open your account, this is the, okay, you have to create, you give a username and a password, email address, password, and do the verification, and then you will receive an email to verify your account, and you have to verify your account through the link. And after your account has been verified, let's you will able to log into your account. Assume that you already able to done those things to open your account. Very simple, straightforward, the process, nothing complicated. Just open an account after you log in. So after you log in, okay, this will be like this, window will be like this, okay, and then you can create your central repository for your project. I have already a project. This is my account. This is my account code inbox. Okay, so you will not have, your page will be empty. There will be nothing. I mean, there will be no project on your page because you haven't, unless you have an existing project on your account. So anyways, so you can see I have a project already. Okay, this is my project, my project. The project name is Maven project. So in your case, okay, you will be something like this. Okay, your repository, something like this. Okay, in your case, you will have this window so that you can create a new repository for your project. Okay, so here you will give a project name. Say example, you are giving a project name, whatever project name you want to give, like demo project, something. Let's give a name. I want to give a same name. Let's say Selenium 4. Okay, this is the project name, and then you can put some description. It's up to you, it's optional. And after that, it has a two mode. One is like public, another one is private. So public, it's open, so whoever will have the link, if they have a URL or link for your project, they can go to your project and they can see your code because it's a public. And to make it private, you need to subscribe. You have to go for the paid version. So paid version will give you the security, your code. Nobody will able to access your code unless they have the authority, okay, the permission. So since my account is it's a free version, so it's a public, I'll keep it a public. Okay, and after that, create repository. Here we go. It's very simple. You will see. So after you will see, it's automatically create an URL for your repository, for a central repository, or you can for GitHub project. Okay, this is your repository. Central. This is the URL where your code will be stored. As per this link. In your real life, when you are going to work in a corporate environment, in a corporate level, that time they will have their either unique URL. So right now where I'm using the free version, so that's why it's the URL is created with the GitHub. But in a real life, you will see their URL will be by the company name. Anyway, so this is the GitHub URL. Okay, and here you can see it's very helpful and very manageable systems. Is here it's give you all the command also, like what you need to. We already did git initiate. We already added the new file, the separate individual files to add. We saw this, right? And we haven't done the commit yet. So next we have to do the commit, right? After we because we already did the staging, right? The add is file is the staging. So now we have to do the commit. But before we commit, we have to so we have to add remote. We have to add our make a connection. Let's see how we can do the connection. So here is this is the code to connect your project central repository or remote repository with your local repository. This is the git remote. You will say git, then remote. Remote is the central repository. Add. So you are saying add central repository, remote repository with what? With the origin and origin. This is the URL. Okay. So let's copy. This is the same URL you can see here. So let's go back to our here my git bash. So I'm saying okay, indexing. Okay, sorry, before here as you can see, before I connect with the remote repository, I have to do the commit. Okay, I have to. Here is also we saw the git commit first. Okay, then the remote we have to connect with the central remote. So this is the the command. The command is already here. You just follow from it. You don't have to memorize again. So we'll see here. I'll say to commit. Okay, to commit our file. So this would be the command is git commit, then space -m, then you will type your message as a string. Okay, say my first commit, right? Okay, hit enter. You will see it will do something. So it's you will see that the commit, it's created different mood. I mean it will do something for all the files in our local repository. So now all of your files it's been committed. Okay, now we can let's see, if you want you can check the status. Let's see. Okay, nothing to commit. Okay, working tree cleans because there's no file is remaining to commit. So all the files been committed. Okay, now we can use the connect with our remote repository with our local repository. To do this, we'll say git remote. This is the command git remote. We'll say git remote add. So add remote repository, which is the origin, and the path we have to give the path or the directory. So this is the one you can just copy from here. Git remote add, copied, go here, go to the bash. Okay, then paste it here. I'm saying git remote add. It means add remote repository, which is the origin, and this is the path of the remote repository. Okay, hit enter. Okay, so now my local repository have the knowledge, have the connection with the about the central repository or remote repository. Now I can push my code, my files to the origin, or it's called okay, master branch. So I will type git, the command is git push, then origin, then master. It means I'm pushing, I'm saying to git push, what's your, this is your repository name. It's by default it's origin. Okay, if you want you can change this repository name, it's up to you. And then the branch, you can see it by default also branch is master. You may have lots of branches, so in a real life you will have a different branch, like master branch, then dev branch, then your QA branch. So you have to mention here what branch you wanna push your code. and usually when the people they store all the final code, it goes to the master branch. So here you can see so this is the code here. You can see this is the command. It's a git push, this is origin, then the branch. By default it's right now we have only one branch, which is master, and the origin, if you want, you can keep it as it is or you can change it. It's up to you. Okay, this is the repository name, it's the origin. So here let's hit enter. It may take a little bit time. You can see here we go. You can say it's a continuing object is 100%, so 100% has been done. Okay, so all the codes, all the files is been already pushed to our central repository. Let's go to our account. You can see, let's refresh it. Here we go. You can see now this is now a project Selenium 4. This is the repository, the project I created here. And here you can see all the files here. Dot settings, source, target, test output, all the files is over here, comes from exactly the same file I do have in my local machine. You can see settings, source, target, test output, then class path, project logo, then POM, so all those files, it's coming already here. So okay, so that's very easy, simple, things like. So what we have learned, what is Git, which is the local repository, what is GitHub, which is central repository, how we can open an account, create an account, how we can create a project in your Git repository, and then how we can create a local repository over here, which is .git, and then how we can add the files to the Git local repository, and then to trace or to track. And then we have seen how we can do the commit, and then we have seen how we can make a connection between the local repository and my central repository, as well as we have seen how we can push the code from my local to central or remote repository. Okay, so that's it for now, this video, and stay tuned, watch the next video. On the next video we'll see how we can pull the code from central repository to your local repository, the opposite. Because in a real life, what happened, when you work in a real life, every day different people work in the same one project from maybe geographically in different places. So that time, every end of the day, you finish your code, you push your code for the same project, for the maybe same test cases. There is someone else is working. He is going to push his code too. So tomorrow, before you start your project or your the same project or same testing, you want to make sure you have the latest code. It's not only your code but also your colleagues, other employee working with the same project from different countries maybe. So you need to make sure you have the all updated code. It's your code plus his code, so that you can start to working, moving ahead, after from the end, where the coding was done, by all the employee which is working on the same project. So you need an updated code. So that time you need to pull the code from central repository to your local machine, local repository. How we can do this, we'll see in your next tutorial. So stay tuned, please. Thank you so much.